He doesn't want to tell you what, the one thing he doesn't want to do is fight Mike.
No.
Yeah, he wants to fight Mike, I think.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't give a if he's 55. That's still Mike Tyson.
Mike's in good shape, too.
Oh, my God.
Mike trains every day.
Amid escalating tension surrounding the showdown between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, Joe Rogan has made a bold and urgent appeal. Rogan, known for his candid and outspoken views, has taken a firm stance demanding Jake Paul to withdraw from the impending fight against Tyson.
He trains with Rafael Cordero, who's a legend in MMA. He runs King's Mixed Martial Arts. And Rafael is a world-renowned trainer. When you see him holding the mitts for Tyson, and Tyson smashing the mitts, like, Jesus, that guy can still fuck you up.
Meanwhile, Tyson is putting in a relentless effort to prepare for his upcoming showdown with Jake Paul. Tyson seized the opportunity to share insights from his 4th training session with his followers on the X platform.
Day 4, it was okay, but you don't know what you got in store, baby. You got to face the God of War and get ready, baby. Fire in the house.
As Mike Tyson steps onto the platform, his very existence demands attention and respect. The ex-heavyweight champion exudes an aura of strength and intimidation, with his intense stare delivering a message of steadfast focus and resolve. Meanwhile, Patrick Beverley, the former colleague of LeBron James and now a guard for the Milwaukee Bucks, issued a cautionary message to Jake Paul. Beverley's warning came on the heels of Tyson's recent training footage, which left him in awe and apprehension. The Milwaukee Bucks guard expresses incredulity regarding the problem child stepping into the ring with one of boxing's most formidable punchers in history. He found it astonishing that anyone would dare to face Tyson.
Beverley tweeted, "Man, you all leave this man alone."
Similarly, Paul George has predicted the winner of the upcoming bout.
It don't matter. Mike ain't scared to get hit.
I think it matters if Mike goes out there and he's really trying to knock him out. Like, is he going to? I hope he doesn't go out there.
I think he's going to do that. I think that's what he's going to do.
It's going to make for great entertainment, for sure.
George confidently forecasted a victory for Mike Tyson over Jake Paul. George expresses belief that it's challenging to wager against Tyson despite his advancing age. He said, "I don't care about the age gap, like he's actually fighting a boxer. Like he's not fighting an MMA guy, he's not fighting a wrestler, he's not fighting an entertainer, he's fighting a boxer. I don't care how old the difference in age gap is. That he's fighting a boxer, it doesn't matter, Mike. Ain't scared to get hit." Paul George isn't the sole basketball figure to weigh in on the Tyson-Paul showdown. Gilbert Arenas holds firm in his conviction that Tyson won't succumb to Paul. He asserts that the only plausible scenario for such an outcome is if Iron Mike deliberately takes a dive, relinquishing victory on purpose. Arenas said on his podcast, "Just an accidental hook or something, you're dead. You're not built for these types of hits, so if you even last, we already know it's scripted." Renowned UFC icon Henry Cejudo has recently launched a captivating podcast alongside fellow legend Kamaru Usman, boasting direct connections within the combat sports realm. In his latest episode, he tantalizingly alluded to the anticipated purse of the upcoming fight. He said, "I mean, you know what, I respect Uncle Mike, and I guarantee you if I know that, but it obviously takes two to tango, and I feel like there's probably a really good payday for Mike ever since the news broke. Individuals have been fervently sleuthing to uncover the precise remuneration each fighter stands to receive from Netflix should this bout garner universal attention. The metrics currently under discussion would pale in comparison to the colossal earnings Netflix stands to reap from this spectacle." Cejudo added is probably going to wind up making close to about 20 M, as is about to turn 58. I mean, literally, Jake Paul's 27, Mike Tyson is 57. However, while both fighters are indeed enjoying significant paydays in the 8-digit range, it's possible they may not be as lofty as anticipated. Consider this: despite facing off against a semi-professional boxer, Mike Tyson remains a magnet for the spotlight, having racking paychecks exceeding $100 million for his most monumental bouts.
I like it, Kamaru. I don't like it, man.
I agree. I feel like I understand wanting to be famous, and I understand building yourself, and I understand wanting to be a boxer as well, and being a professional.
On his Pound for Pound podcast, Kamaru Usman, known as a Nigerian nightmare, didn't hold back in criticizing Jake Paul's choice to step into the ring with a veteran boxer Mike Tyson. He said, "At some point, someone has to be guiding this kid's career. Do you want to be taken seriously as a boxer, or do you want to just be that famous YouTuber that did the boxing thing?" Usman further added that while he believes Jake Paul has talent and has the potential to become skilled at boxing, he questioned the cost at which Paul expects to be respected by professional fighters, including himself as a real fighter. Osman added, because I do think he's talented and I do think Jake Paul can get good at boxing, but it's at what cost you expect me as a professional fighter, as a real fighter, to respect you for this. Moreover, renowned American comedian and actor Andrew Schultz has weighed in on the matter, suggesting that the Tyson-Paul bout could potentially surpass all previous boxing matches in terms of viewership. Schultz recently shared his insights during an episode of the YouTube talk show Brilliant Idiots, outlining his reasoning behind his bold prediction. Schultz identified another element that could catapult this fight into the realms of greatness, potentially shattering viewership records in boxing history. He said, it's also on your phone, the Paul versus Tyson fight. It's so unbelievably easy to watch wherever you are in the world. If you have Netflix, you're putting it on the streaming giant is about to break new ground by stepping into the realm of live combat sports broadcasting with a highly anticipated Paul versus Tyson fight. This is why Schultz expressed his belief that even those who occasionally watch combat sports would find it relatively simple to engage with a fight, potentially propelling it to become the most watched boxing event in history. The comedian actor remarked similarly among those caught up in the excitement was Dewey Cooper, who found himself fixated on two pivotal words upon learning of the matchup.
It's the motions. I brought guys for Jake Paul to spar when he were getting ready for Nate Robinson and Ben Askren. I've seen him in the gym a lot. I used to be BJ Flores' coach, his coach at those times. So I was in the gym with them a lot. By the way, real cool guy. Nothing like the people probably would think.
Cooper mentioned his frequent interactions with Paul in the gym during that time as he was coaching BJ Flores, who was Paul's coach. Then Cooper described Paul as a genuinely nice person, contrary to what many might assume. Additionally, Cooper noted his long-standing acquaintance with Mike Tyson dating back to the 1990s. He praised Tyson as an incredible person who has contributed positively to their team, expressing that the situation is a delicate one for him due to his connections with both fighters.
Would think I've been on Mike Tyson since the 90s. Mike's an awesome guy, an incredible guy. He's helped our team. So it's a sensitive situation for me at 58. The way Mike looks on the pads and everything, he can still do it.
Moreover, Cooper emphasized that Tyson's perspective is heavily influenced by his age, acknowledging that the allure of financial opportunities is simply too compelling for anyone to ignore. Cooper said at 58, the way Mike looks on the pads and everything, he can still do it. Just will he be dedicated to training for a real camp? And will he take Jake Paul seriously? Does Jake Paul have enough to motivate Mike Tyson is the biggest question in my mind. If he does, it's a serious fight for Jake Paul. If he doesn't, then Jake Paul has an opportunity to beat an iconic legend. Cooper expressed his preference for Jake Paul to fight younger boxers, such as having a rematch with Tommy Fury instead of facing Mike Tyson. However, he acknowledged the significant box office draw and public excitement surrounding a match against Tyson. According to Cooper, I would rather Jake Paul fight some young boxers, have a rematch with Tommy Fury, something like that, versus Mike Tyson, but I understand that it's going to be a big box office and people are going to be excited about it. Furthermore, Cooper conceded that if there's a public demand for the match and both fighters are agreeable, then the fight should proceed. He concluded with a note of anticipation, stating that the outcome remains to be seen. Cooper added, I just hope both fighters are okay that a high number in age to be fighting young guys, but if the world wants this one to see it and both men are willing, let's do it. We'll see what happens there. Similarly, UFC legend Daniel Cormier has given his insanely honest take on the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight. Speaking to ex-UFC welterweight contender Ben Askren, he said it might ruin you if he just beats on Mike Tyson. He's in a no-win situation. Cormier vehemently criticized the upcoming bout, suggesting that Paul hasn't properly considered its ramifications.
Somebody was like, would you wrestle Kyle Snyder for charity? I'm like, no, he's going to beat the brakes off of me. He won't play with me. He won't give me anything to make me feel good about this. He's going to beat the shit out of me.
Paul argues that it presents a no-win situation for Paul. He said, I don't know that he thought this one through as much as he probably should have been, because if you just go out there and you just beat the out of Mike Tyson, everybody's going to be really mad at you. I mean, really mad. Askren, who suffered a first-round defeat to Paul, replied, yes, I don't disagree, especially if it's kind of like I don't want to say something disrespectful because it's fighting. Daniel Cormier added that perhaps there shouldn't be too much respect involved in the fight. He suggested that if Tyson were to become fatigued and perform poorly, being easily picked apart, viewers might criticize a pay-per-view event, questioning its value and expressing disappointment in the quality of the match. Daniel Cormier added, so that there probably shouldn't be that much respect, but if you say Tyson gasses and he starts looking really bad and is just kind of like picking him apart, like, that's going to be something that People say this pay-per-view he further stated his concern about the audience's reaction, emphasizing that if the fight appears to be of low quality, viewers might express their dissatisfaction openly. Cormier also speculated on potential consequences if Jake Paul were to knock out Mike Tyson, impressively suggesting that such an outcome could significantly impact Tyson's reputation. He said, "Why am I watching this? This is awful. I don't want to. Watch this looks if he knocks Mike out like if he just starches Mike Tyson. It might be over. The problem child is 30 years younger than Iron Mike and boasts 6 knockouts on his professional record." Cormier suggests that a victory over Tyson by knockout might signify the conclusion of his journey in the boxing realm. Adding to the anticipation is URGES, an emerging boxer who is now affiliated with Most Valuable Promotions, sharing his insights and predictions for the much anticipated showdown. In a recent interview, Goyet was asked to predict the outcome of the match between Tyson and Paul. Despite his ongoing feud with his current employer Jake Paul, he sided with the problem child over Tyson. Nonetheless, he acknowledged Tyson's significant contributions to the sport of boxing. He noted Jake Paul is at his peak. Yes, Mike Tyson has come. It has been a long time since he left boxing. No one can beat Mike Tyson's skills as my hero. One of the prominent criticisms directed at the Arlington-based bout is its apparent lack of parity. The significant age gap between contenders has stirred considerable apprehension among boxing pundits and enthusiasts alike. Adding to this concern is the fact that Iron Mike will be returning to the ring after a 4-year hiatus following his last encounter with Roy Jones. Goyet added, "Your fake Paul, Jake Paul, is also training, isn't he? And is also young. Peak means is young. Also, the fight is going to be great. About the result, no prediction can be made. It's hard to predict who will win or lose, but I feel the chances are that Jake Paul will do better because of the age factor." URGES, who hasn't stepped into the ring for an official fight since May of last year, holds on to hope that his upcoming bout will be against Jake Paul. His belief in himself reaches at zenith when he forecasts himself as the one to conquer the problem child. He said, "But only I will break Jake Paul." His opponent was 40 years old, and then one was 50 years old, and now the next one is almost 60. Despite skepticism from some UFC commentator, Rogan maintains that Tyson possesses the necessary skills to dismantle Paul. Rogan said on his anonymous podcast, "Just forget that Jake Paul is a YouTube guy and watch him fight. The kid can fight 100%. That Tommy Fury fight really showed that it goes to a split decision against a legit undefeated boxer." Rogan continued expressing his disregard for Tyson's age, emphasizing that despite being 55, Tyson remains a formidable figure. He highlighted Tyson's training with Rafael Cordo to underline Tyson's continued strength and capability. He was particularly impressed by the sight of Tyson hitting the mitts with force during training sessions. Rogan continued, "I don't give if it's 55, that's still Mike Tyson. He trains with Rafael Cordo, who's a legend in MMA. He runs King's Mixed Martial Arts. Rafael is a world-renowned trainer. When you see him holding the mitts for Tyson and Tyson is smashing the MS, that guy can still you up." Additionally, Rogan mentioned the modern advantages that could aid Tyson, including hormone replacement vitamins and advanced recovery techniques like electrical muscle stimulation, suggesting these could further enhance Tyson's physical condition and performance. He added, "In this world with hormone replacement and 6, he does all this electrical muscle stimulation recovery stuff." Rogan further emphasized the modern scientific approaches utilized during Tyson's training for the fight against Roy Jones Jr. He maintained his stance that regardless of Tyson's age, he remains a formidable opponent capable of causing harm. Rogan further added, "When they were training Mike for that Roy Jones fight, they were using state-of-the-art science. I don't give a __. If he's 55 years old, that guy will hurt you if Jake Paul's on the other side of the ring and he sees Mike Tyson bobbing and weaving is going to have a recognition." Rogan predicted that Jake Paul would have a moment of realization when faced with Tyson's classic fighting style in the ring. He also remarked on the persistent power and surprisingly retained speed of Tyson at his age, which he finds terrifying. He added, "Is going to look over and go, oh my god, that's really Mike Tyson at 55. The power is the last thing to go, but the thing is the speed is still there. It's terrifying." Rogan speculated about the nature of the fight between Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., suggesting that there might have been an understanding to avoid face punches as Tyson primarily targeted the body aside from using jabs, according to Rogan. "And I don't know what he did with Roy Jones Jr., but in my mind they made some sort of agreement where Mike wasn't going to punch him in the face because most of the hits he hit him with, unless it was a jab, was the body." Yet amidst the anticipation, one can't help but wonder, will this showdown between two contrasting boxing personas indeed come to fruition as the impending clash draws nearer? Flurry of criticisms has already begun to swirl among the skeptics. A substantial faction doubts whether this bout will ever materialize. Adding weight to the skepticism is none other than Sean Porter, who harbors doubts about the likelihood of Paul facing off against Mike Tyson on July 20th.
When his opponent was walking out to the ring, I looked in dude's face and I was like, yo, he got that face like he know what he's supposed to do tonight. He's supposed to find somewhere on this mat to lay down, and when that perfect punch is thrown, he gonna lay down. And
that's what you meant?
That's exactly what I
thought
meant.
you meant.
Porter aired his doubts unequivocally on his podcast. Porter stated, "I'm not excited." And that's why I don't think the fight is happening. I think for something like this to happen, it takes more than 4 to 5 days to make something like this happen. Porter delved into his lack of enthusiasm for the highly anticipated showdown between Tyson and Paul. He stands out among enthusiasts for his skepticism regarding the authenticity of the bout, suggesting it might be a mere spectacle for the fans.
And I'm not saying from a standpoint of him taking money to take a dive. I just saying this dude look like he know what his job is. He's supposed to find somewhere to lay down on this canvas. And when that punch is thrown, he's supposed to lay down.
Porter's doubts stem from the remarkably swift announcement of the match coming just 5 days after Jake Paul's previous fight, leaving little room for proper negotiation and planning. He remarked, and what I'm saying is I don't think that through the course of him having a fight in Puerto Rico never mentioned, yeah, we're going to get this bum out of the way, and I got something real exciting for you after that. Porter believes that Jake Paul would have said something about this event in his last fight or even around that time. He added, never say anything like that. And then after the fight is dry as it ended, as dry as it was. You got to do something to get us excited and get us pumped up. Porter harbors doubts regarding the secrecy surrounding any pre-existing discussions about the fight, questioning why Jake Paul hasn't made them public if they truly existed. He added, you didn't know that this fight was on the horizon. I don't think this fight will get made in 4 or 5 days on Jake Paul's end. There's a relentless push to hype up the fight daily. If it falls through, it will be a colossal letdown for boxing enthusiasts. Paul has even addressed the swirling rumors regarding the fight's rules without hesitation. Paul denounced the misinformation, branding those who bought into it as idiots. While the official rules remain undisclosed, Paul's fiery response suggests a more traditional fight. He said, I feel for any dumbass who believes that, and I would never let my fans down in a fight like this. And where head go, come on now, people. His manager echoed a similar sentiment, shutting down the rumors through his Instagram. UFC star Chuck Liddell is the latest weigh-in on the bout. Liddell told TMZ that he thought Tyson was still capable of taking out Paul with a single blow. Liddell said as soon as hits him, it's over. Liddell stated he thinks the former heavyweight champion still is what it takes to win. He said the last thing to go is power, last thing to go is power. If he hits him, it's over. When asked if he had any advice for Paul, Liddell offered a simple response: keep covered up, man. Hey, is what else he said.
Tyson has a chance. Jake, they're saying, is the favorite.
Yeah, if Tyson's taking a dive, the favorite. But if Tyson hits him, it's over.
So,
hey, by the way, last thing to go is power.
Interesting.
Last thing to go is power. He hits him, it's over.
On the other hand, the WBO welterweight champion of the world, Tim Tszyu, expressed his thoughts on the impending bout between Paul and Tyson. Tszyu said, first of all, this fight will bring a lot of attention to the sport. I love Mike Tyson, grew up on his fights. I hope he doesn't get hurt. Tszyu acknowledged that the fight would draw significant attention to boxing, a sport he loves and for which he has a deep respect, largely due to growing up watching Tyson's matches. He expressed his admiration for Tyson and his hope that the legendary boxer remains unharmed. Tszyu further added, Jake Paul is doing good things too, but it's weird to fight Tyson. I wouldn't do that. I'm a connoisseur at heart. The world is changing. Whether the fight will live up to the colossal expectations or fall short remains to be seen. However, the sheer volume of conversation and the wide range of perspectives underscore the fight's significance in the cultural zeitgeist. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos.